Hello coders! This video is part one of a tutorial to build a simple Kaleidoscope app. I'm going to start by clicking New Project in the top left-hand corner of MIT App Inventor's website. For my project name, I'll type in Kaleidoscope. And I'm going to add a V1 to the end of that name for version 1, as I expect our app to go through many different versions as we develop our code. I'll click OK, and here is our app. Our app starts out blank, and so let's take a moment to get oriented to the MIT App Inventor interface. On the left side of a screen, I see a bunch of different components that I can include in my app. In the center of my screen, I see a mobile device. It's currently in portrait mode. This could be a phone or a tablet. To the right of that, I see a list of components that are included in my app. Right now, my app simply has one component, a blank screen one. And all the way on the right side of the screen, I have a list of properties for these components that can be customized as you build your app. One of the first things I like to customize with my app is my screen background. So I'm going to look for my background color property. I'm going to click that, and I have a bunch of different options. I think I'll choose gray. And I'm also going to choose a different alignment. If you look to find the Align Horizontal option, I'm going to choose Center. Now I'm going to bring some components onto my screen. So back to the left side of my screen here, I'm going to drag a label to the top of my screen, and I'm going to give my app a name. So this label has a text property. I'm in the bottom right-hand part of my screen here. I'm going to delete that text, and I'm going to type Simple Kaleidoscope. That font is kind of small, so I'm also going to change the font size property, maybe to something like 24 point. I can also change the color of that font. So I'm looking for my background color. No, I'm looking for my text color. Here we are, down at the bottom right-hand corner of my interface. I can choose any text color that I want. And I can even change italic or bold if I want as well. Now that I have a title for my app, I'm going to look for a different drawer of components. Over on the left side of my screen, I have some layout options and some media options and some drawing and animation options. Please find the drawing and animation drawer. When I click on that drawer, it expands to show me a variety of options. I'm going to click and drag out a canvas to my interface. Right now, its height and width properties are set to automatic, but I'd like to change those. So on the right side of my interface, I'm going to click on this height property, and I'm going to change it to 250 pixels and click OK. You can now see the canvas is much larger on my interface. So I'm going to change my width now also to 250 pixels and click OK. This canvas is where my drawing and animation will occur, and for my Kaleidoscope app, this is where we'll see our pretty patterns. I'd also like some buttons that will allow me to control colors on my app. So to do that, I'm going to look on the left side of my interface here, and I'm going to look in my layout drawer for something called a horizontal arrangement. I'm going to drag this horizontal arrangement below my canvas on my interface. And then I'm going to go to my user interface drawer over on the left side, and I'm going to drag out a button into that horizontal arrangement. This can be a little tricky. Notice that as I move my button around, this blue line will show us where it's going to appear on my app. I'm going to try to target it right inside of this horizontal arrangement that I created. If by chance you have it in the wrong spot, you can click and drag it into the spot you need. I'm going to click and drag 3 buttons into that horizontal arrangement. And we can see that the order here is a bit scrambled up. That doesn't matter a whole bunch. I'm going to now come over here to my components list, and I'm going to click on my first button. It happens to be button 2. but I'm going to rename that. I'm going to click and delete the 2 and include an underscore and then call this button red. While button red is still highlighted, I think I'm going to change the background color of button red over here in my properties to red. And then further down in my properties list, I'm going to change the text for that button also to red. I'm going to repeat this process for my next 2 buttons. I'm going to click on my next button, which is currently named button 3, and I'm going to rename that. I'm going to delete the 3 and use an underscore and call this blue, button blue. Okay. I'm going to change my background color to match. That blue is a little bit dark, so I think I'm going to customize it a little bit. I like that a little bit better. And then I'm going to change my text for that button. Moving on to my last button, I'm going to rename that to button underscore green. Likewise, change the background color and change the text property. One more feature I'd like to add to my user interface is a way for us to clear this canvas. Let's pretend we're drawing our kaleidoscope pattern and we want to start over again. We could add a 4th button to clear out the canvas, but just to make things a little bit more interesting, I think we're going to use a sensor to clear our canvas. So if you can click on the sensor drawer on the left side of the interface, it's going to open up some options here, and one of those options is an accelerometer sensor. We're going to drag this accelerometer sensor out onto our user interface. However, we'll notice that when we release the mouse button, it appears below our interface because it's a non-visible component. It will be usable and accessible by our app, but it's not something we need the user to see on the screen. So this about concludes our user interface part 1 of our tutorial. In our next part, we'll start building some code for this app.